Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Welcome you, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening,
Am I
sir.
audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Audible, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Sir, good evening,
Sir,
sir. Narayan, sir, good evening, sir.
Narayan, sir. Narayan, sir, muted, sir. Narayan, sir, your mic has been muted.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Good
Good
evening,
evening.
sir.
Good evening, sir.
Sir, we will wait for 5 more minutes, sir. Actually,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, sir. For 150, 200 participants are there, sir. We will wait for 5 more minutes, sir.
Yes, ma'am, no problem, ma'am.
Ma'am, can we start, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Screen sharing stop பண்ணுங்க.
ஒரே நிமிஷம் sir. Yes, sir. I welcome you all the participants for the 6 days online FDP on advanced data science and NLP. Elevate your research and H index, offered by Department of Information Technology, SRM Malima Engineering College, sponsored by AICT Training and Learning Atal Academy. So today, day 5, session 9, the session title is Data Science Security Safeguarding AI System. The session going to handle by Dr. M. Sandal Kumar sir. Now I invite Mrs. Sandhya ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology, to give a brief introduction about today resource person to the audience. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening to all. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome Dr. M. Sendil Kumar sir, a distinguished academic and a pioneer in cyber security, to the Atal Faculty Development Program on Advanced Data Science and NLP, Elevate Your Research and H Index. He currently serves as professor and head of the Department of Cyber Security and is also the chairman of the Computer Society of India, Kanjipuram chapter. With an illustrious career in academia, he has been recognized for his exceptional contributions with the CSI National Level Significant Contribution Award and the State Level Best Engineering College Teacher Award. His credentials as a cyber security professional are truly exemplary. He is among the select few to have successfully achieved the prestigious certifications of CompTIA Security Plus in 2023 and CompTIA A CIS A Plus in 2024, internationally recognized credentials that underscore his deep expertise in cybersecurity. This remarkable accomplishment places him in an allied group of professionals and highlights his dedication to advancing cybersecurity practices. Today, we are privileged to have him lead the session on data science security, safeguarding AI systems. In this era of rapidly evolving AI technologies, securing data science and AI systems against potential threats is of paramount importance. His vast expertise will provide us with invaluable insights into this critical domain, empowering us to enhance the security and reliability of our AI systems. Please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. M. Sendil Kumar sir. With that distinguished introduction, I now have the honor of inviting sir to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Sandhya, ma'am, for your wonderful
Thank you, sir.
welcome. Uh,
Thank you, sir.
shall I start, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. I'll share
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now it is visible, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir. Visible, sir. Yes, sir.
So today's topic is data science security, safeguarding AI systems. So as we all know that myself, Dr. M. Sandal Kumar, head of Department of Cyber Security in SRM Malima Engineering College. Why security is important nowadays? So this is the first question asked by everyone. And how it is incorporated in data science and AI systems. So this is the second question. So we will see one by one. The first is a data science. As you all know that the data science, it's a process where we need to go with decision making by learning everything by using a statistical models and analytics, and we are organizing some process, and that will give some expertized output. Based on that customer experience, we are going to take the data by using a data driven world. So why data is very important? This is the second question. Each and everything is a data. As a data scientist, everything is a data. Anything, if it is a name or it is maybe anything, any property, it is a data. So how the data are aligned and how the data are used by the technician, how the data are ordered by using a data science methods. So the data is scattered everywhere. So we need to provide a security for the data. As you know that the science and technology is rapidly growing every day, the same time the cyber crimes and digital crimes are also growing every day. So we need to protect our data and resources. So it is a very crucial part how to secure our data. Since it's our data is a very protect sensitive data, we need to give protection for this sensitive data. We don't know whether this data is important or not, but as a hacker or the intruder or a malicious user, they know this data is very important to them. They can make the unsensitive data or unimportant data to as important data for them. So that is a very crucial word. So we need to provide a security to them to protect all the data, and we need to make a trusted system. That is very important, but it is not possible nowadays. So how we are going to provide this data? What are the key challenges we will face in the data science security? As you all know, in data warehouse, lot of data, millions of data are there. You can't able to protect each and every data. There may be a data breaches are done. So by using that weak encryption as unsecured systems, the intruders or the third party get into inside that, and they can take our data. For that, we need to give protection. So basically, before entering into providing a security to the data science, we need to know what you mean by security and what type of attacks are there. For that, I will share more quickly. See, basically, ma'am, it is visible, ma'am.
Sir, visible, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Slideshow. Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, ma'am. So basically, we have four types of threats. Any attacks comes under these type of threats. One is called interception, another one is called interruption, another one is called modification and fabrication. Suppose A wants to send the data to B. So both A and B are legitimate users. But the third party, so C or intruder or malicious user or hacker, any name you can call that. That person is just listening what is happening between A and B. That is called interception. It's intercept the connection and listening the communication with both A and B. That is called interception. And interruption. The second type is called interruption. If A wants to communicate with B, the third party, that is a hacker, who actually involved in that and cut the connection between A and B. So A doesn't send message, not
Sir,
able to send
slideshow.
message.
Slideshow not enabled, sir. Actually, it is in the screen types of threads, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Same thing I'm explaining.
Slideshow. Yes, sir. Slideshow. It is in
Types of threads
the
is visible, or not, ma'am?
types of thread is visible, sir. It is not in the slideshow mode, sir. It is
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. One second, one second. Now, now it is visible, ma'am.
okay, sir. Now it is okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So the second type interruption. So as I told you, if A wants to send a message to B, the third party, that is hacker or malicious user or intruder, any name you can call it. So that party actually involved in that and interrupt the connection between the legitimate users. So A unable to send a message to B. That is the second type. And third one is called modification. A sends a message to B as hi. The third party, hacker or any name you can call, that party actually involved in that and modifies a message at hello. So that is called third type of thread. And fourth type is called fabrication. The legitimate user is A and B. By using this A identity, the C sends a message to B. B thinks that this original message is sent by A, but the message is sent by C. So, but in terms of B, this message is sent by A. So that is called fabrication. The legitimate user doesn't send any message to B, But by using the identity of a legitimate user, the third party send a message to the legitimate receiver. So this is the 4 types of threats in security. Basically, we have 2 types of attacks. One is called active attack and passive attack. Can anyone of you tell which type of threats are comes under active and which type of threats in passive? As you all teachers, so you don't want to answer the question, I know. So I will explain. In these 4 types of threats, 3 are active attacks and 1 is passive attack. Only the interception is a passive attack, because the listener, that is the malicious user, is interpret in the connection and just listening what is happening between the network. He doesn't send any messages, or it doesn't want to disconnect the connection with the legitimate user, or it not fabricate anything, or it not modify anything. So this type of attack is only comes in passive attack, that is interception. All the other 3, interruption, modification and fabrications, comes in active attack, because the third party actively involved in that interruption, interrupt the connection, and actively involved in modification of data. He actively involved in fabricating the data. All the 3 comes under it active attack. So any type of that attack, any type of thread, or any type of attack happen in any security, not in a data science, any type of security, this is a common attacks and common threats. It is common to every data science, or it may be a cyber security or cloud security or wireless security, any security. This is the 4 types of threats. It is common to everyone. So this is a basic thing in that challenges. So now we'll see how these challenges we are going to address, and how the challenge will be executed. So data science security faces several challenges. The first thing is called data breaches. So data breach is happen everywhere because of the weak encryption as an unsecured or unsecured system. Maybe they use a weak encryption technique for transferring data from here and there, or if you uh, put our data, or if you transfer our data in unsecured environment, means then there is a chance of data breach. So data breach, it's a common terminology where our data are breached to some other purpose. For example, I will tell an example. Suppose you are going to buy a Domino pizza, you're logging in the Domino pizza site, or one second. Hello, now it is audible.
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Yes, sir. One second, please. So as I told, the data breaches happen everywhere because of their weak encryption standard, which we use for transferring a data, or we trust on a unsecured systems. So this insider or hacker or enter in that unsecured system and misuse their access. So the access control is also very important, that we will see role-based access control is there. So initially you should know what is data poisoning and what is data breach. So as I told, the data breach is happening everywhere. We need to protect by using some terminologies or models to avoid a data breach in a system. And what are the data science life cycles? I will tell. This is the overall overview of the stages. The first thing is data collection. So this is the initial step where the raw data is collected from various sources. It may be IoT devices or social medias or databases or web browsing, anything. You can use any type of thing, but we need to collect the data. It may be a raw data. So after that, we need to build this raw data into a processing way that will be involved in the data processing step. First step is cleaning the data, and that cleaned data are transformed into organized data. So this step will involve extract, transform, and L. That is a famous word ETL. ETL is a process where we have this extraction and transformation and loading of data. So this will involves we will include the missing data, and we will add some future extractions, or we will add some features to that type of data process. Then after data processing, that it will involves the data analytics, where we have the statistical tool as well as the ML models to extract the patterns and recognize the pattern and what are the trends we are having and correlation between this data. So based on this ML model, we enable the prediction of data, and we have also have the classification technologies. By based on classification techniques, we get the data, we analyze by generalization as a classification technique. So next is the data visualization. So this is the next step. Once after the data analysis, how the data is visible to the end users, that is the stakeholders, to make a informed decision. It may be in the form of charts, graphs, or dashboards. Even a pie chart or a heat map or any type of representation comes in the data visualization. Because nowadays with weather forecast very this is a winter season as is a rainy season, so we are all very eager to know about the cyclone, all these things. That type of representations has comes in the data visualization. And model deployment, that's the final stage. By using the integrated machine learning model, we produce an environment for the real world application. So this application is based on the development of this data processing, analysis, and visualization. So then based on that input, that will given us a continuous feedback loop, any alteration or any version that can be incorporated in the next loop. So these are the stages in the data science life cycle. And what are the vulnerability parts in this life cycle? I already told these are the 5 different stages. In that, in each and every stage, what are the threats maybe happen for to attack the data? The first stage is a data collection. As I already told that it's a raw data collection where the data interception can be possible. I already told what is interception. When two persons are communicating with them, the third person is just listening what is happening. So he like that this person can intercept in the connection and inject some unwanted data or malicious data or unauthorized data between the connection. What will happen? This will affect the overall system. The injected data is affected the overall system. The expected output will not be happened, or expected output will not be matched. So that is the main problem, data collections. So for example, an attacker interrupting the data streams from IoT device. Suppose we are getting a data from a IoT device. For at that time, this type of malicious data are injected in that thing, means we are not able to get a proper output, or we are not able to uh, stimulate the product. So that is a very important thing. So that have been happened in the data collection step. In data processing steps also, some threats can be maybe occur, that this type of attacks may be happen because of the insider, that we have two types of attackers. One is a outside attacker, that is a who are outside our network. They want to enter into our system, or they want to hack our system, that is called outside attack. Inside attacker, they may be a legitimate user or a trusted person who are all inside our organization, but they work for the person who are outside the organization. They may be create some problem inside our organization. Likewise, in data processing also, the insider threat like ETL, I already told, extract, transform, and load. That process a ETL process. In that, the insecure storage of intermediate data can be happened, or untrusted data can be sent. So for example, in our environment, a data engineer who unintentionally exposes sensitive information to the some other person's third party person for money or any fame or anything they can send. For example, a trusted data engineer inside our organization send the valuable data to the other companies by means of for getting money or for getting some favor from them. So that also possible. So it is comes under the data processing threats and data analysis. At the time also we have the vulnerability in analysis tools, because most of the tools are online based tools or free version tools. So it maybe have some vulnerabilities. So that by using that vulnerabilities, the attacker entered into our system and they send some biased data in the training set. So what will happen? It produces a manipulated output. The real output is one, but it gives some manipulated outputs. So that may be a difference between the expected output and the actual output. So this is possible in the data analytics step. The next is called data visualization. In data visualization also, I already told, in data visualization we can have the map, chart, or map, or any type of representation which will be easy for stakeholders to take a decision by using that diagrammatic representation. In that also some threats are possible, that unauthorized access to the dashboard, the data leakage may be sends a secured visualization tool, so it also exposed to the sensitive data. So for example, that dashboard should be in a public it's a public dashboard, then it more vulnerable to attack. So the confidential business metrics or confidential business data can be leaked to some other parties. So it will affect our our reputation of the company, as also it leads to the business loss for a organization. So next is called data modeling. So this step mostly the attackers are targeting API. Okay, so application program interface. So that attackers targeting the APIs to extract the sensitive data from the system, or they can use the evasion attack to bypass the security models, and they can easily enter into the data area and get the data from the system. So manipulating API is very common nowadays, because they are having a separate model or separate small script or script or tool. By using that tool, they can easily enter into the API and gain authorized access from us and do the manipulation in that things. So these are the vulnerability points in the life cycle. As I told, we have the several stages: data collection, data processing, data analysis, and data visualization, data deployment. So each and every stage is vulnerable to threats. So for that, I'm explaining all these threats, because the threats is not happen in the final stage. The threat will happen in the first stage itself. We can get the sensitive data from the data collection part itself. The raw data is manipulated. If the raw data is manipulated, then we can't get the expected output, real output. It may be a manipulated output. Never it may be a expected output. It will be a manipulated output. So total system will be collapsed. So each and every step we need to take care more secure, because this vulnerability is happening everywhere. So it's not protecting a product as a end as a end. This should be that security. It's a umbrella activity. It will be carried out throughout the cycle of the data science. So that is very important. We can't only we need to give a security to the third deployment period. Not to care about all the other sections. It's not a matter. We need to provide security in all the each and every step, even in the data collection part. That is very important. So as you all know, that is which is more essential is you need to provide authentication, confidentiality, and integrity. So authentication is whether the person who sends the data is the right person, authorized person, and the person who receives the data is the authorized person or not. So that is authentication. Whether it is authorized authenticated person is sending a message or authentication receiving the message, that is very important. And confidentiality. No one sees a message in between the network. Suppose A sends a message to B, that message is only known to B. That message is not disclosed to some other party in between the network. That is confidentiality. And integrity. No one modifies a message in between the network. That is very important. If A sends a message to B, that message is only goes to B, not to everybody in the system. So not that anybody is not able to modify the message. It's called integrity. If we provide confidentiality, obviously we can provide integrity. If no one sees the message in between the network, then no one may not be able to modify the data. So confidentiality, integrity are both are it's a byproduct. If you provide confidentiality, we can obviously provide the integrity. And authentication, it's a word which it's a word which we provide authenticate for the user, because we can provide confidential integrity, but whether this data is sent by authorized authenticated person, or whether this data is received by the authenticated person, it's a $1 billion question. Because by using encryption we can provide a confidentiality authentication integrity, but whether this data is only sent by a authenticated person or not, or this data is only received by the authenticated person or not, it's also very important. So these three things is more important in security. One is authentication, confidentiality, and integrity. And what are the key security challenges in data science? So it is very important. So first, as I told, that is a data breach. So data breaches occur everywhere. It even a sensitive information assessed by a unauthorized person. So we can have the phishing attack or malware, or we can exploit the unpatched vulnerabilities, because this phishing attack is very common nowadays, because most of the users are unaware of the uh, domain, or unaware of the secured protocol, or unaware of the secured website, whether they never check whether this URL is a correct URL or not. They only see the pictures. So the phishing attackers are easily manipulating or reproduce the same type of websites like Facebook or Insta or SBI Bank. Any type of web pages they can create, but the domain name is changed. But we that as a user, we are unaware of that. We never see that URL. We see the picture, this is SBI, oh, this is a SBI site, this is a Facebook, this is a Facebook site. So as I humbly request each and everyone to check whether this is a legitimate site or not, whether it's a secured website or not. First you check that, so then only we can escape from this type of phishing attack. So that is mainly happened in the data breaches. So once we enter into the unauthorized site or manipulated sites, we will give our credentials like username and password. Then the attacker can use this credential in a legitimate size, and they can able to get our money. So the main motto of a security, the attackers or hacker, is to earn money from digitally. They need to earn money in a sophisticated way. They are not going to work physically for morning 9 to 8. They are only putting their knowledge as their technology in the system, and earn money from their home itself. So they are very brilliant for earning money from other persons. So it's our responsibility to be cautious in entering into the digital world, because digital world is very important to us. But it's not every day we need to check whether it is a legitimate site or not. It's our responsibility, because we are entering into the site by using our sense only. We are doing all these things. So we need to check whether this legitimate sites or not, or whether we need to click this link or not, whether we need to enter data, our personal data in that website or not. It is our responsibility. So next is the insider threats. That's a second type. As I already told, that we can provide security to the outside attack. We can have the firewalls, or we can have a VPN, or any type of uh, security message we can provide to restrict the access of the outsiders hacker. But what are the methodology we can use for the insiders? Because they are the legitimate users, or they are one employee among ourselves, among our team. They can hiddenly, intentionally gain the access from ourselves, and they can loot money, or they can send a legitimate sensitive data to others. Like you all saw the movie Lucky Bhaskar. The Lucky Bhaskar is one of the insider threats. So like many people are there, they can intentionally compromise our security sensitive data. They can send data, or they can use our resources inside the organization. So next is the advisable attacks on models. So the third type is attacking a ML model directly. So as I told, that the vulnerability is happen everywhere. So machine learning model is not is also vulnerable to the attack. So they have more open space for attack because this model have involved many sensitive information. So the attackers, the hackers are more focusing on that models, because if they attack the model, then they can easily manipulate the data, or they can produce a desired output. Desired output means the output which was decided by the hacker, they can easily produce by using this model. The first is called data poisoning. The data poisoning is injecting a malicious data into the trained data set. So what will happen, the trained data set will be behaves how the hacker thinks. That is called data poisoning. An evasion attack is there. They are crafting the input by bypassing the detection methodology. They have own inputs. They bypass the detection methodology, and they enter into a system and providing the unauthorized inputs. And model inversion is also that they can reconstruct the training data by probing the model predictions. They can, based on the they enter into the model, and based on the model they can reconstruct the data sets. So these are all the possible attacks on the model. This is a privacy concern. So the organization must comply with the data privacy. They like GDPR, that is general data privacy, and HAPA, that's a health insurance private act is also there, and CCPA is a California consumer privacy act is there. Lot of privacy act is there. The privacy is very very important. So each and every, as I already told, each and every data is sensitive data, but we think that it's not important. We are thinking that it's not important, but the thing is each and every data is important data. So privacy is very much needed for each and every person. So for example, the HIP, as I told, that is a hospital related information. The hospital records can be get breached to some other. So what is the purpose of breaching a hospital data? We can get the patient from some other hospital. Suppose I intrude into some X hospital and get breach the data and get the information of the patient, means I can contact the person directly. For example, in this hospital, they are admitted for heart operation. They charges for 25 lakhs. So I can contact the person. So the same doctor will come to my our hospital also, ma'am. Ma'am or sir, we will provide the same. We can do the same operation in 20 lakhs, means the patient will come. So each and every data is very sensitive, and also we have the patient history. Based on that, we can approach the patient, and if you have diabetes, we are giving a free diagnosis, or we will send the person to your home, and we will do all these tests. If it is a if the person is a diabetic person, so we can easily approach the person for our consultation, or our checking process, all these things. So the each and every data is very important. So that's why they are breach into some hospital websites and hack the data. And insecure APIs, as I already told. So insecure APIs are there. The main thing, the APIs are used for a data exchange between the models. So they attack in that, and the security system is very weak. So you can easily get into the system and get the data. So, and also we have some poorly authenticated APIs are there. So based on that, they attack the sensitive information and manipulate the overall model outcomes. So they manipulate the model. They the expected output of the hacker is appears in our model output. So securing a data collection, how we can secure this type of data? By using the encrypted connection. So as I already told, first of all, you check the web page URL is whether it is a HTTPS, whether it's a secure hypertext protocol, not. If it is a secure hypertext protocol, we can transfer our data, or we can feed our data. If it is not, you think once, one or twice time, whether we need to enter our data, or whether we need to give our data or not. So very very important. So we will give some our login credential, payment details, or personal information. So first check whether it's a hypertext transfer protocol secure, yes, HTTP or not. If it is HTTP, then you can give your login credentials or payment detail or personal information. Otherwise, we are not able to ensure that whether it is a secure protocol or not. Next is a secure file transfer protocol, that's FTP. So whenever we transferring data from one system to another, or one server to another, we will check whether we are going to use, whether we are using that secure file transfer protocol or not. And also we should check whether this SSL, secure socket layer, or transport layer security, whether these both certificates are present, means then we can give our data. And also we need to validating the data source, whether the data, validating the data source, a main basic step in ensuring that information being collected is accurate or not. So whether it is a trustworthy or not, or and it is free from malicious interface or not, that is depends upon the data source. So data where comes from variety of sources. It may be from APS, third-party data providers, or internal systems, or as I told, we can get from social media or any sites. We can get any data from there. So we need to prevent the unauthorized or malicious sources from injecting the false or malicious data. We need to provide data validation. So whether this data needs to put inside our model or not. So we need to validate the data, because like a legitimate data, the unlegitimate or unauthorized data also will come, or a data poison data also will come. So it's our responsibility to eradicate this poison data from the legitimate data. So we should be more conscious in that for validating the data. If we're not able to validate the poison data, then we are not able to protect our system. And there may be using a checksum value or hash functions also there. We will all know about the checksum value. That will be with hash functions also, that we can verify the integrity of the data in the receiver part. In the sender part also, we will have we will calculate the hash function. That the same hash function will be calculated the receiver end also. At the, if the both are same, then the data integrity is maintained. If the both are different, the data integrity is modified. So there is no integrity in the data. So we will need eradicate that data. So next is a secure storage of raw data. So this is very important. As I told you, it's a role-based access control, because nowadays we can't trust anybody. So that's why we have a zero trust architecture in our security system. So role-based access is very important. It may be in a top to bottom. That we should have role-based access system in a top to bottom approach, where we need to provide access control for based on their role. For example, I'm working in a college, so I can take the example of a college. Principal is having some access control. He is having a overall control. He is the administrator of the college. Then HOD, department head, have the access control for their department, and staff is having access control for their students. Likewise, we need to give. So the principal can have the overall control. He can verify the data of a HOD, as well as he can directly verify the data of a staff, or we can directly verify the data of the student. But the student or staff is not able to check the HOD's data, or not able to check the principal data. So that is very important. This is a role-based access control. Based on the role, we need to limit and expose the sensitive data that will give able to maintain a strong security posture. Otherwise, we can't be able to provide the secure data. So it is very important. We need to provide the access control role based. So that is called RBAC. And protecting a data during processing. How we can protect the data during processing the data processing. The first thing, the data should be encrypted in the processing state. How the data will be encrypted, sir? The encrypted data will be in a two position, one at rest or in a transit. So as the name itself, we can understand that by using a trust means that will be stored in some physical or virtual storage. It may be a database or file system or cloud storage. That is called data at rest. Data at rest means it will be stored in some places. It may be a database, DBM database, or file systems, or a cloud storage. So this encryption will ensure that storage is in a secured way. So the data will remain secure. For example, I'm going to store a value as high. This is a data high. Data high is a data. So that will be encrypted and stored as 100. The high is converted into 100 and stored in the data. So that is called data at rest. So it may be in any form, any place. As I told, file system or cloud or database, but that data is encrypted and stored in the physical position or virtual storage. The next is called data transfer. So before that, I will explain what type of algorithm that we can use for encryption in the data at store. They are using the advanced encryptor standard AES by using a 256 key for encryption. Or they by using that we can encrypt the data. That data will be placed in a data address. The second type is called encrypt data in transit. So data in transit means that will be in a moving state between one system to another. The data may be transferred from client to server or server to client or server to client. Anything is called transit. When the data in a moving state, then it's called data in transit. For that they are using a HTTPS. If it is a secure hypertext protocol, then we can tell us that data in a secure fashion. Or as I told earlier, when we use transport layer security or secure socket layer certification for secure web communication. If it is having a SSL certification, then we can tell that this is a secure data. And also we need to use a secure protocol for file transfer. Now only we saw that it's a secure file transfer protocol for sending a data between that, or we can use the emails to end-to-end encryption. And also we can provide a validate certification. So that will be given by a transport layer security. That certification is valid for sometimes. If we go for updation, we need updation, then we need to get one more certification for updating the data. So then it's called use access controls. So as I told that the role-based access control is very important in data science security, because we have a large number of data, huge amount of data in that. So everybody is having access to access every data, means then we can't able to provide the data security. So for that, for restricting a security access to the peoples, we need to give a role-based security. As I already told an example, in a college, a principal is having a overall access, and HOD is having access for their department, and staff is having access for their subject in the students, and students having access for their data like internal marks, attendance, all these things. The principal can see the attendance of a student, but student is not able to see the principal salary or age or anything else. So that is called role-based access control. It is very important because prevention is better than cure. We need to provide the prevention methodologies. So this type of role-based access control is a prevention methodology for data security. So the first is the role and permissions. As I told that this RBAC restricts the access based on the user's role. So admin, data analyst, developer, each and have the specific roles and responsibility. The admin can see the data of the developer and data analyst, but developer can't able to see the admin's data. So that is very important in that role-based access control. So the implementing RBC is very important. If we implement in the RBAC, then we can provide the data security for the overall database. By using the AWS tools or Azure machines, Azure database, we can provide the security to the cloud resources. And also the third point is very important, that is the audit and review. Even though we are providing a role-based permission, or even though we are using the AWS services tools for giving protection, we need to audit every system and review the process periodically. The audit and review is a mandatory in security, any type of security. It may be data security or cloud security, any type of security. Audit and review, it's a plays a vital role in the security aspect, because every time we need to do the auditing process, as well as we need to review the process. That is also very important. So next is implementing a code practice in ETL. So as I told, ETL, you know that extract, transform and load pipeline. The first is called input validation. So we need to validate all the input data whether it meets the expected format or that. For that we need to check these are the validation will be done in a proper way. The next you need to use a parameterized queries for avoiding the SQL injection. Sometimes I already told that the malicious data or malicious unauthorized data can be injected into the normal database for making a data into poisoned data. For that we need to avoid the SQL type injection by using the parameterized queries, so that can be used by the SQL commands by avoiding this SQL queries injections. The next is logging and monitoring. So the log pipeline should be monitored whether this is come from the legitimate user or not. That should be log should be monitored, and logs whenever the data will be sent between client to server or server to client or server to server. That also that in that position also we need to monitor the logs, and regular security review should be handled. Every time I repeatedly saying that review and audit is very important in the security. If you are doing a audit every month and reviewing the process as well as the product every month, then the vulnerability is less in that process. If we are not do if we are implementing a we are investing crores and crores of money for building a model. We are have the separate DCDR firewall or anything you can have it, but the thing is you need to audit the system and you need to review the process. If you are not doing the auditing as well as review, then investment of physical as well as technology, it may be a question mark. Because anything we can implement, but the thing is we need to repeatedly audit the system and do the review process, then only we can find out the vulnerabilities. And model security, how we can provide the data model security. So I already told that data poisoning. So data poisoning occurred when attacker manipulating the training data. Whenever the training set is that the attacker are try to poison the data by manipulating the training data. Why they are using the manipulating the training data? Because they need to degrade the model performance, or they need to bias the system and get into the final storage space. For that they are adding the incorrect or misleading data to the data set, so that the data learning process may be producing inaccurate pattern, or they are recognize the untrusted person like that. If they are giving a false alarm or false data, then the system get more confused and produce the false output. And model inversion is also happen. As already told that they can by using the model inversion attack, they can reconstruct the sensitive data. They can construct the produce a similar data to a original data, but it's a fake data or false data, but it's similar to a original one. So then the model will get confused and model will go for a undetermined prediction or undetermined parameters. So that will be gives a unexpected output, or they will respond to the false input. So like that they can make the person. So for example, they can reconstruct the person facial images from facial recognition model. Each and every time they give a wrong image, and the name will be given as output is given as a Sendil. For suppose one time it will show my image and the output will be Sendil. The next time it will be how the partial image of myself. They can add some other features of the another person. Then it will get confused and they give Sendil. The next time it definitely they will give the third person X person. Automatically the system will give output as Sendil. So they can reconstruct the training data or inferring the private training data. They confuse the overall model, and the facial recognition model will work falsely. The Navision attack, the attacker craft the input to confuse the training model to make the inaccurate prediction. The same example you can take the images. The attacker modifies the image slightly so that the model misclassified and recognize, or it can stop the processing. So it will give some false output to the decision making. So especially when we go for a safety critical system like autonomous vehicles, it will have some fingerprint recognition or voice recognition or some facial recognition. if the type, it will change the model, or it will confuse the model to produce the unwanted result. Then the hacker easily enter into the autonomous vehicle and can easily take our vehicles. Then what are the preventive measures? So I already told, it's you can invest many huge amount of security, or you can implement any technology. That is not a matter. That is only 50 to 60%, and remaining 40% you need to provide a regular model audit. So auditing is very important. The frequent audit only will help you to identify the vulnerability in both models and data sets. Then only we can have some countermeasures uh, to stop this vulnerability or overcome the vulnerabilities. So that is very important. And what are the things we need to audit? That is also very important. The training data, because we are making a ML model. So the training data plays a crucial role in that models. So the training data should be audited whether this training data are a good or a legitimate data set, whether this training data have any poisoned data or SQL injected things are there or not. We need to check this training data. Then model parameters. What are the parameters we are using for building the models, and what are the parameters we need to note down in the models? So it may be a chance that parameters may be vulnerable, or parameters may be uh, changed by the hacker. So we need to ensure these parameters are needed parameters, or these parameters are the trusted parameters. This is based on some protocol or some model description that we need to ensure. And prediction pattern is also very important. That's also we need to uh, audit whether it will detect the anomalies or vulnerability, whether it's capable of detecting the anomalies and vulnerability. We need to check this prediction models patterns having that capability. So these are the things we need to audit. As a simply we can tell us, we need to check the input, and we need to check the processing unit, and we need to check the output. That are the three things: training data, model parameters, and prediction patterns. So input validation is also important. We need to check out the overall boundaries, and in out of bound values, anomalies, pattern, inconsistent formats is there or not. We need to check, because for example in financial model, the input transaction amount will be in a realistic range. It not be in a minus value. So it should be in a realistic value. So that we need to check. If you given a minus value, the process will happen, but the expected output will be attained. Expected output is not be attained. So we need to check whether this given value is a realistic value or not, because the data science, it is very important, because they are using in financial transactions also, they are financial sector also using the data science security. So we need to check whether the given things are very needed or not, and whether things are legitimate or not. We need to check. And differential privacy is also very important. We need to introduce a noise in the model for output for training the data to safeguard the sensitive information. How we can add it, sir? We can by using the we can add a controlled random noise to the individual data points. So data set cannot be reverse engineered. So at the initial stage itself, we can add some noise and check whether it is working or not. That's also possible. And privacy preservation techniques is next thing in a data science security. So data anonymization is a very important thing. So it is used to find whether that we need to remove or mask the personal identification information from data sets. So each and every individual data or individual person cannot be identified. So that is a masking technique is there. So by using this technique, we can use the uh, we can use the masking aggregation or k anonymity to achieve the product. So data anonymization will be useful in the data set for providing the privacy consent for the data set. So the differential privacy is also very important. We are going to introduce some mathematical noise or data to the model, and ensuring that the data points cannot be identified. So both are very essential in the data privacy, data anonymization, or data differential privacy. So in that, if you give a data that cannot be identified by anybody else, and differential privacy also, we need to add some dummy data to the data set that can be generated to the output. And homomorphic encryptions are the next thing. We need to perform the data encryption data by decrypting the without decrypting a data. So you all know that we have a two type of cryptography. It's a symmetric cryptography and asymmetric cryptography. In symmetric cryptography, we are going to use the same key for encryption, that same key for decryption itself. But in the asymmetric key cryptography, we are going to use one key, public key for encryption, and one more key, private key for decryption. So the sensitive data, when we use for the encryption standard symmetric key, the same key will be shared to the receiver end also. So there may be a chance of that the shared key can be taken by a third party, and they can easily uh, hack our data. So that's why we are having a secret key as well as public key. The secret key, they are using a public key for encryption, and that receiver end, they are using our private key. They are using their private key for decryption. So suppose I know I know the receiver model, so I can send the data. I can send the data by encrypting the public key of the receiver side. For example, myself A, I'm going to send the data to B. I know the public key. But what is the difference between private key and public key? For example, as most of the all the members are from college side, I can easily tell. Private key is like your number, register number. Public key is like your name. So everybody knows your name. So I can easily send the data by encrypting a data by using a public key. So the receiver end, they can decrypt the data by using the private key, because their number is known to them only. So you can easily decrypt the data at the receiver side. So it's a homomorphic encryption. So that the thing is, we can provide confidentiality in that, but it is not possible to provide the authentication, because our name is known to everybody. So anybody can encrypt the data by using your name. So we can't tell that this data is come from A. C also know your name. D also know your B's name. So they can easily uh, fabricate the data. So that is also possible. That's one of the disadvantages of in this encryption. But the thing is, we can use two keys. One is for encryption, that is called public key, and secret key for decryption. So next is called federated learning. It's a decentralized approach for training a machine learning model. So in that, the data training will be handled in a locally on the device. So user can train the data set that can be used in their own environment. Likewise, different users train the data and use the data. Finally, all these data are put into the cloud-based data system. So the federated learning is minimize the data transfer between here and there. The data is used by locally. For example, we have 4 separate departments. For example, computer science, IT, ADS, and cyber security. All the data are in a cloud system, but we have an internal server at our department, each department. They can use the data, they can train the data, they can use the data in CSE department itself, as well as IT department itself, ADS, and cyber security. They can use the data in their own environment. They can train the data. After that, the upgraded data is shared with the central server in a day. So next is a security in a model deployment, and how we can provide the security in this model deployment. So we need to use a secure APIs. So all application program interface is to be used for model deployment. In that, we need to use the secure API. Then only we can provide the good model, secure model. So this will be more useful in the prediction and data access. So we need to provide a secure API. And what are the steps we need to uh, the steps for you for the steps for giving a secure API? First is called authentication authorization. As I already told, authentication is it's a right person whether I am the right person to send or I am the right person to receive. Authorization, suppose we are giving authorization to some other person. So in absence of principal, we can provide the authorization to vice principal. Vice principal can have the authorization to admin the college on the in absence of principal. Likewise, in authorizations also, we can provide authorization to some legitimate authorized person. And we need to use the encryption standard. We need to, as I told, we need to use the HTTP is secure hypertext transfer protocol for transferring data between the system. It will be useful to protect from eavesdropping and tampering data. So eavesdropping is backdrop. We can get the data or we can listen or steal data some from the system. And we need to use the rate limiting and throttling. So rate limiting means we need to restrict the number of API calls. How many number of calls is able to do? For example, 50 only API calls can be done in a client system. So that should be restricted. We have the restricted thing like a threshold value we need to give. And throttling, we need to prevent the entering entering of an unauthorized system, or we need to prevent the DOS attack. And we need to validate the input also. How we can what is the main thing we need to focus on, that validating input. We need to check whether this data is poisoned or whether the SQL injected SQL injection is attack is done in that also. We need to check both these things. And regularly we need to update the patches as the softwares and libraries. That is very important. In phone also it is very important. We need to update the software whenever the company releasing the updation. We need to update the software as soon as possible. That is very important, because updating the system, it's very important. In security concern, updation, it's very important. That should be done periodically without fail. And monitoring the API calls and anomalies. So we need to monitoring the API traffic, because if we detect some suspicious activities or entering of unauthorized person or unauthorized access attempts, because data developer can try to get the admin rights, or try to get into the uh, next level higher boss access. So we need to check this type of things. We need to monitor regularly this API traffic also. So all login requests will be monitored, and that should be maintained, including their IP addresses, by using which IP address they are entering and which time zone they are using, what type of payload they are using, because they can easily alter the payload and enter into the system. So that also possible. So we need to check all the logs, and you need to use the monitoring tools. Any tools, lot of tools are available in cloud service. We are having AWS cloud service also there. We need to check into the system and check each and everything and detect the anomalies. And we need to set alarms also there. So if there is any repeated failed login attempts, or if there is any unusual activities, it should be give the alarm like triggers. We need to set some triggers in that. If it is if like in phone, if you are entering to your mail or anything, it will give some 3 to 5 access. If you are putting a wrong password for 3 to 5 times, then your login is be your login will be captured, or we are not able to log in. So it will give some one day time. If you are entering to the bank mobile banking or internet banking, if you give 4 to 5 times long password means, then we not able to enter the system for one day. It will be your account will be suspended for 24 hours. Like that, we need to set the alarm or triggers. And behavior analysis also, we need to use some AI tools identify the abnormal pattern, unexpected traffic spikes, because the hacker or intruder or malicious user always be a passive attacker. They will listen and what is happening in the network, and which time they are entering into the system, and which time they are uploading the system. For example, as we are all working in a college, suppose they want to hack our data website, and they want to breach our data system means, they will check when this college website is updated, whenever the files are when in which time the files are uploaded in the college, and which time the server may be busy, For example, and the result time or the student want to access the question bank in the beginning of the semester, at the time only the college website will be busy. All the other times the college website will not be busy. They will only upload any PDF file like events or any fee structure like that. They only upload the PDFs, so that will be monitored, and they can easily enter into the system and hack the try to hack our web page. So that will be identify the abnormal activity. So we need to we need to check the behavior analytic also. The next is the employ the container security. So we need to have some doctor for to protect our model, developed model, that can be due to that can be used for portability and scalability. That can be easily portable to some other place, or we can add some we can add some models or some data to that. So it should be scalable for the system also. So what are the steps we need to carry out for container security? Means that is the image scanning. The scanner contain image the vulnerability before that Docker scan. Then we need to have some minimal base images. For entering that, we need to have some minimal base images should be there, and we need to implement the role-based access control. That is very important. We need to give the role-based system, and what are the network policies we should have, that also identify, that should be processed, that should be circulated to the each and every stakeholders, and we need to regularly update the containers, and runtime security also will be enabled. And compliance and regulations, as I already told that in data science security, we need to check all the compliance. The general data protection regulation system, it's for European Union. So they have set up rules and regulations for protecting the personal information. It also gives how to organize collected information, how to process, and how to store the data. All is based on the general data protection regulation. And next is a health insurance portable and accountability act. So it's also, I already explained that they can easily steal the hospital database for the healthcare providers. So that can be used by some other competitors, and insurance data is also steal by some peoples, that can be used by some other competitors for getting the for approaching the clients. And California Consumer Privacy Act is there, CCP. This all for US based systems. So auditing trials and documentation, it's very important. We need to ensure the transparency and accountability. It can be we can ensure the transparency accountability only by doing the audit. Only audit will ensure this transparency accountability. If you are providing a transparency accountability, then the system may not be vulnerable. That is important. The next, documentation. This is the basic thing for data science. We need to have the good documentation for security and all the things. Then only it will be useful for the stakeholders. Otherwise, if the employees resign from our organization or some new employees are come, they need to study the existing system. Means we should have some documentation. It will be helpful to them to know about the system and know about the procedure, what are all we are processing in the organization. And these are the tools and technologies for data securities. So as I told that AWS, Amazon Web Server is there, cloud Google Cloud Platform is there, Microsoft Azure is that. They are giving a good securing platform for the data science. So the AWS is focusing on the access control, God's duty for the threat detection. As well as the Google Cloud platform is also useful for securing the sensitive information, and access transparency is also there. So different vendors are giving different types of service based on our requirement, and based on our financial constraint. We can choose any one type of security services for protecting our data science security. So these are some other tools are available. IBM Advisor Robustness Toolkit also there. TensorFlow Privacy is there. So as I told, based on our requirement and based on our financial constraint, we can choose any tool. But the security is very important. So which type of security we are going to provide, it's based on our organization. So how the data breaches are done? You know that data breaches are everywhere. Data breaches are there. So we need to provide, we need to protect our data. For example, I will show in SBI also data breach is there, Domino's Pizza is there, and police, in even in police department also data breaches are there. So our data is available to everybody in a dark web. You heard about the word dark web. The data are cheaply sell in the dark web, so they can get the data from KFC, Domino's, or any type of any type of websites. So as my advice to everybody, don't use a personal email in type of in purchasing something in online or that personal email is used for only for our banking domain. Suppose you are using a banking website, that in that banking website and banking financial transaction, that will be handled. For online shopping or for enter to some like KFC or Domino's, that for in that you can use some other mail IDs. Otherwise, your data can able that's a possibility of breach of your data.
Anybody, ma'am?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Hello, sir.
Ah,
It is
yes, sir.
visible,
Yes,
sir?
sir. Ah, yes, sir. Visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 1 second, sir. I will show one PPT. So the police department database also breached. So this is a police exam database exposed to more than 500 cases of Indian citizens. So we can easily get the data. What's their name and address, all this, which type of the service they are preferred, and this is the example for police exam database breach. And we can also have the data breached in the Domino's Indian data breaches are more than 13 TB of employee files and customer files are is breached, and it's also available in the dark web. So from that they can easily get the data. That's why they are communicating the persons. And this one more example is there. So our anonymity website is hacked, and lot of data is available in the LinkedIn also. For example, you heard about that website called Have I Been Pwned? 1 second. So you can enter in this site your email, whether your data is breached or not, you can find out. So this is my mail ID. So it shows that no breach of my mail ID. So you can also check your mail IDs. Anyone can tell your mail ID. I will check it. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Participants, please interact with our
If you have any questions or queries,
speaker.
Sir, if it is like PW,
what, sir? 1 second. Tell your email ID, sir. Hello. Participant, kindly tell your any one of you tell your email ID. We will check it.
Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
USHA ushabanu123@gmail.com. USHA BHANU
123.
@gmail.com.
1 second.
@gmail.com.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, your email is Nitro PDF. It's breach and dash match. In dash match and collection at #1. In these
Okay.
3 sites, your mail ID is breached, ma'am.
Okay.
They use your data by using these 3 websites, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. I'll clean my things, sir. Okay.
Yes. So
Thank
my
you.
yes, ma'am, my kind advice is to don't use your official personal mail ID in anything, and don't one more thing is whenever you are logging into a system, it will ask for continue with Google. Don't give continue with Google. You enter your mail ID and give the password. If you give continue with Google means, then it's also give vulnerability, or your data can expose to somebody else, so they can easily get the data. By using our mistake, they can easily gain the access of the system. So don't do like that. So whenever if you want to do enter into system, type the mail ID as well as password. Don't give continuous Google.
Sir, thank you.
So
Yes, ma'am.
what to do that if it is happened like this?
What's it?
Now we have seen that data breach has happened at 3 or 4 instances.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the next step, sir? What we should do?
So the thing is, we can't do anything, sir. So it's as already told, sir, precaution is a good medicine for that. So we need to be very cautious in our digital data. So
Yes.
hereafter, don't use your personal mail IDs or personal things in all websites. That should be used for only financial transaction, only for bank transaction. You can have more than 4 5 email IDs. Have it. You can use one mail ID for online purchase. You can use one mail ID for purchasing through Domino's, KFC, or booking.com, ticket booking. All these things use some other mail IDs. Don't use your personal mail ID in that things. So in digital things, the precaution is only medicine. We can't do anything once it's happened. We can't rectify or we can't do any rectification work to retain the same thing. The only thing is prevention. We can aware in the sense in future we can avoid that. That's only possible way.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? So as a cyber security expert, myself, I'm giving many cyber security awareness to schools and colleges, and hands-on session to students as well as staff members. So if you are interested, or if you are institution interested to have session for awareness for students, or we can have the hands-on session, how to hack or how to prevent hacking, and what are the methods they are used to hack our Gmails or Facebook social media pages. So all we will teach you how to protect from them, and how to make our system more secure in this from the hackers, so that I can do it. So if you are interested, you can contact me through mail or my LinkedIn page. I will show my LinkedIn page. Can connect through my LinkedIn page, so you can go through my page. So many activities will be done.
Good evening, sir. This is Venkatesh from SRM.
Yes,
I have a question, sir. While we are searching in the mobile, while try to purchase any mobile or anything else, if going to the log in the desktop also, it is showing the relevant advertisement. You are searched
yes,
these
sir.
things.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
many insecure data is there. So why we protect for this kind of
So this is a AI based system, sir. Every service provider is having a AI system, sir. So they can easily sense your pulse, sir. If you think about to purchase a TV, automatically if you open the Facebook, it will show TV related ads. Or if you think about some other product or think about some other product, it will show the system. It's a AI based system. Every system is AI based system. So we need to protect our data. We need to check. Suppose you are going to book a flight ticket in system. So if I search something means automatically the relevant data will be come to your systems, your mobile or the desktop. So it's all AI based system, sir. We can't do anything to that system. Hello, sir. English, sir.
okay sir, thank you sir, thank you so much.
Any other questions? And also we have some one LinkedIn page. Sorry, we have Insta page is there. Our it's a white hat in club. We have a club for cyber security. More than 14K followers are there. So every day we will post some useful cyber security threads, essentials, tools, how to secure yourself. All this data will be posted in our page. If you want, you can follow our page, or if you have any queries related to cyber security, you can post it in our page. We will answer immediately. So more than 14,000 followers are there for our official page. That's official page is a college White Hat in club. I'm the convener of this club also. So you can also go through this page. Any other question?
Sir, please share this LinkedIn and website link also, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely I do it, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Ma'am, Sambhavi
Thank you,
ma'am.
sir.
Thank you, sir. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. M. Sendalkumar, sir, Professor and Head, Department of Cybersecurity, SRM Malima Engineering College, for his enlightening session on safeguarding AI system. The way sir explained about ensuring the security at every stage of data analysis process, starting right from the data collection step, was truly remarkable and insightful. Sir explained about various types of threats exceptionally well, and his explanation of role-based access control in college administration was very nice. He also, sir, encouraged us to use the social media in a safe and responsible manner. Thank you for sharing your valuable time and knowledge with us, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Subhalalita ma'am. Subhalalita ma'am, hope you joined.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank
Yes,
you, ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome, ma'am.
Welcome
you,
you,
sir.
ma'am. Participants, we welcome you for the next session, and I invite Chindia Baby ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology, to deliver a brief introduction about ma'am. Chindia Baby ma'am, hope you there in
Yes,
the
ma'am.
meeting. Yeah, yes, ma'am. Kindly
Yes,
come in
ma'am.
video mode, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Cynthia Baby ma'am, kindly come in video mode, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Unable to view.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, your voice is audible, ma'am. But
So, good evening, everyone. So, for this session, we have with us Dr. Subhalalita ma'am as the guest speaker. Before she starts her talk, let me take the privilege to introduce her. Dr. Subhalalita ma'am is the founder and director of First Language Technologies Private Limited, and serves as the professor in the Department of Computer Science at SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Kattangulattur. So she's deeply passionate about natural language processing, machine learning, deep learning, and Tamil computing, focusing on solving societal challenges throughout her innovative research. And her academic journey is equally impressive. She holds a PhD in computer science and engineering from the prestigious College of Engineering, Indy. When she focused on designing and developing concept-based search engines and language technology tools. With her extensive experience in both academic and industry, she has successfully bridged the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical applications. And she has published several papers with H-index 15 as per Google Scholar, and she has prestigious accolades throughout her career. So in 2023, she was ranked into top 2% of world scientists in AI by Stanford University. And she was also listed among the top 50 women entrepreneur by CA and PwC in the same year. In 2022, she received the Young Scientist Award by MIT World Peace University, Pune. And additionally, she has been awarded 5 gold medals for her exceptional contribution at SRMIST research day events. And she has an impressive academic record with 8 sci-indexed publications and 34 Scopus indexed papers. And she holds 2 published patents and has been granted 1 patent. And so with this small brief introduction, I would like to hand over the session to Dr. Subalita ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that introduction and for this opportunity as well. So good evening, everyone. I'll now share the screen. We'll start. So hope the screen is visible, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, visible, ma'am.
So
But
if
it is,
that's-
yes, now correct, visible, ma'am.
Okay.
You carry
So,
on. Thank
yes, ma'am. If there's any technical delay from my side, if I'm disconnected or so, like please do let me know. I have my phone with me. You can call me. Yeah. So yeah, good evening, everyone. I know like after one lecture over, like I know how it feels to listen to another lecture. So let me see like how far I can make this interesting. All right. So I would like to, I'm going to talk about like what are large language models, and I'm going to start from the basic. I understand the audience might not know. It's completely okay. Like you might not know what is natural language processing. You might not know what is Gen AI. Some might know. So I'm talking about the people who do not know. We'll start from the foundations and we'll travel from the basics to the advanced. We'll see like how this goes today. This is what I have to talk. Yeah. So to put it very simple, like what natural language processing is like. Natural language processing is nothing but like making the computer understand human spoken or written languages. So that's about it. Like we expect Google search to understand our English query, or expect Alexa to understand our speech. So to expect ChatGPT to understand our query and answer, and expect the voiceover searches in YouTube and retrieve videos for us. So these are a few examples like of applications, direct applications of natural language processing. So all so why this? So initially it was like called as natural language processing. Now the term is recoined, like it is not recoined. NLP is still there. So we call that as Gen AI. So there is a connect, but I just wanted to retain this term natural language processing because like it is the root. All right. So natural language processing is simply a domain where we train computer algorithms to understand human languages, either in the form of text or in the form of speech. When you talk of Alexa, we are training to understand human speech. And when we talk of ChatGPT or Google search, like it is text. So, the intricacy, like though it might sound very silly sometimes for us, when these machines misinterpret the human spoken languages or human written languages, they absolutely give some nonsense results. Like we ridicule or we get irritated depending upon like whatever mood we are in. So it's not that easy. Why? Because like the human languages are very complex, and because even when two humans are speaking with each other, so there may arise so many difference of opinion, right? Like for instance, like we are making a positive comment on some person, but that person is very angry on us. there is a 90% chance that like that person might interpret in a negative way. So if that is happening between two humans, so cannot be very simple when human and computers are interacting. And one more complexity is that the languages, like we are not dealing with single language, we're talking about multiple languages, and the whole world is now connected, and we feel the world is so small. So today, US is not very far from India. Of course, geographically it is far, but we are able to communicate with people, and we are dealing with businesses with US people, and we are not only with US, it's with UK, it's with Dubai, it's with Australia. So it's with everyone. So people are very well connected these days, and enterprises, businesses, educational institutions are very well connected throughout the globe. And there arises, algorithms or these applications which allows us to interconnect. So language is definitely not going to be a barrier, and these applications allow us to communicate in a very smooth way. So, and these applications has to undergo a lot of trauma in understanding the intricacies and the complexities in each and every language. So to put it very simple, let's talk about only Indian languages. So I'm sure like international audiences are not there in this meet. Like we're all Indian. When we talk of Indian languages, like Indian language, if you want to, if you say like after this seminar, you want to build a system for an Indian language, let's talk about like very simple a chat bot. Okay, so if you want to build for Indian languages, then you'll have to do it for how many Indian languages? There are so many Indian languages, right? Like then let's say you're only building for some 10 Indian languages. Okay, so you don't want to build for all Indian languages, you wanted to build it for only 10 Indian languages. Even in that case, let's talk about Hindi or Tamil or whatever. Like I do not know Hindi, I know only Tamil and English. So even if you take any Indian languages for that matter, no matter it is Hindi, Marathi, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannadam, so either it is Indic or Dravidian languages, whatever it is, when you take a single language, it has its own multiple dialects. So I'm sure it should be with other languages. For at least for Tamil, like the every 100 kilometer you travel, the dialect is going to change. So we have, we don't understand Tamil, certain words spoken in Coimbatore. We are in Chennai, so we don't understand certain words spoken by Coimbatore. So the intricacies are existing even between the languages. So this is why this natural language processing is still remaining a challenge, and that's very good for us because like we are all researchers and we are all enterprise, even for companies, like there's room for doing many researches. So like I have many hands-on codes as well, like I passed on through ma'am. Like you can also, if you're in the laptop, like you can get ready with that. So let me give you so this is what is NLP. So this is what NLP is all about. Okay, so now I'm just shifting from NLP. I just gave you a foundation of like what is NLP. Now, what now people don't talk about NLP. Like when we started NLP in the year 2007, so we were talking about grammar rules, rule based. We had linguists in our lab and we had coders in our lab. We completely coded everything rule based. For instance, we were a part of like doing Indian government MeitY supported project that is Indian language search engine. So 5 Indian languages we were doing, and IIT Bombay was the head for that. Like then, like I'm talking about College of Engineering India, like where I was working as research fellow. During that time, like we had so a linguist in our lab, and they write the linguist rules. We code that in computer language using Java, and then we build application. So today that's totally gone. So today we call that as a large language model. So it has evolved. What is large language model? So to put it very simple, this is as per my understanding, there can be a number of definitions, but as per my understanding, I see large language model as a language expert. So it is primarily an English master, English teacher, or when we talk of English. But if you're talking of Marathi, if you're talking of Hindi, if you're talking of Telugu, Tamil, then it is a language master in that respective language. It knows that language completely. Okay. Okay. Plus, you can make a domain expert in that particular domain. So what we are referring to as domains is that like you can think of like fintech, you can think of healthcare, you can think of education, our own domain. So you can think of any other like industry 5.0, like whatever it is. So you can, it is an English master. ChatGPT is an very good application. Like we all, a day does not go without using a ChatGPT nowadays for us, right? Like, so ChatGPT is an application, but what is a large language model behind that? It is GPT 3.5 and GPT-4, right? So that is a large language model. So GPT-4 is the brain, GPT 3.5 is the brain. So, so that large language model is very good at English, and it is also very good at few domains. That's why it is able to generate a code for you. It is able to, so you can build an LLM, plus you can make it as a domain expert. So there are LLMs which are not expert in some domains. What we researchers can do is that like take that LLM. You can't, I wouldn't suggest building an LLM. That is not our goal. Because like building an LLM is the headache of like larger enterprises. So because like you need to have a huge computational power. If you are well funded, if your institution is very rich, then you can afford to, but mostly we should target at fine tuning those LLM, teach them some domain, identify some problem, identify some gap that is not addressed by the existing LLM based application, and then you can fine tune. So that's what should be our goal. So hope I made it straight. Like you can pause and you can feel free to ask me any question at any point of time. I would be happy to answer. So we now know what is an NLP. NLP is like building applications which understands human thing. Like LLM is the same. LLM is also the same, but LLM is a large language model. That means like why it is large. It is trained with so many corpus. It is very, very knowledgeable. So that's why it is trained with so many parameters and so many corpus, and that's why we call it as a large language model, a model which is a language expert, and we can use it. It can already be a domain expert, and if not, we can fine tune. Yes. All right, all right. So, okay. So now we'll just start with the knowns. Like, okay, we have ChatGPT, we have Gemini, Llama Chat. Llama Chat is a free open source, like not many know of it. It's built with Llama. So I primarily like playing with Llama Chat. Why? Because Llama is an open source, because Gemini is not a non-open source and GPT is not an open source. So to understand the capabilities and gap of Llama, I would chat with Llama Chat. Okay, so given all these are the applications. Okay, so you have something. This this is Llama Chat actually. So you can ask them and you can get the answers. Like whatever you want to ask them, you can get the answers. Like I tried asking how to make biryani, so it gives. Llama gave, Gemini gave, ChatGPT of course. ChatGPT is the king of all. In my perspective, so GPT-4, nothing can beat it logically. In any enterprise level also, GPT-4 is the king. So I tried with Llama, it is able to give, okay. And I tried with how to make an explosive at home. It advised me, this is also Llama, it advised me this is not to be asked, so you should take an advice. So they are at this level, okay. Okay, so what can we expect when an LLM knows a particular a domain? If it knows some educational domain, it has already some domain expertise. It knows how to code. It knows how to answer for English queries. It knows certain domain of healthcare, not very in depth, fintech or so. You think you want to attack a problem when it already knows. What would you do in that case? Okay, so primarily we can make use of these kind of facility for BTech students. The BTech students can't wait for fine tuning, right? For BTech students, we can ask them to build some applications on top of that with the current expertise. We don't need to go for fine tuning. So we can build some applications straight away on top of the chatbot, content generation. What you see here in the screen is the marketing content for a toothpaste. So like startups like so even us, we wanted to post some content on LinkedIn. So I won't um, wait. I mean, I won't spend so much of time. Like I'll just give hint. So this is the product details, hints. Create a LinkedIn post for me to promote this product. It would do. So this is what I tried. Marketing content for a toothpaste. Like it gave the name of the toothpaste and it just gave the content. So likewise, this is a single thing. Like you can fine tune those LLM because it is a language master. It knows the language. It knows the domain. Maybe you can build a language correction tool like Grammarly because like it is already a language master, so it can do any. You are making an application on top of that. So a language master on top of that, you are building an application. So you can think of many other applications, language corrections, or you can build a chatbot, or you can extract content from that. So you upload a content PDF, you wanted to ask questions and extract certain information, that is also possible. If it is already a domain expertise in that particular domain, you are targeting at. Okay, so now this is a second scenario. So where you have an LLM, and now that LLM is not knowing that particular domain knowledge. Let's say you are interested in addressing some healthcare complexities like some disease prediction or so how disease prevention, or it is related to some fintech thing, or sometimes like you have these enterprise which deals with so many IoT devices outputs. So sometime like we need to summarize all the numericals and do a logical reasoning and give it as a report. So those things they might not know. So because like they might not be a very good interpreter. So in that case, what you do is that as simple as that, like you will fine tune it. Okay. This is a pre-trained LLM. This is already done by the large enterprises like OpenAI or Google or Meta. So all you need to do is that like build a small data set for your particular problem. Let's say you are building for a some disease prediction. So you give some prompts, what will be your queries and what will be your predicted answer. That is how you will prepare a data set for, it is instruction based, right? So you will prepare a data set and you will teach this um, prompt responses and fine tune the LLM and train it. And then you can build some applications. First you fine tune and then you can, what is our target? You to build some useful applications on top of that LLM, right? Like now it did not know the domain. Now you taught the domain and then you are building some application. So building co-pilots. So we call it as a co-pilot. You can have a co-pilot for code. You can have a co-pilot for grammar assistance, or whatever it is, like you can build. So retrieval augmented generation, I'm not touching now. We have in the upcoming scenario, like as of now, you can understand that is retrieval augmented generation. I'll slowly take you there. So yeah, so this is what, like we now know what is an NLP. We now know what is large language model. And we now know two scenarios. One scenario is directly building some applications on top of LLMs. And the second scenario is building, fine tuning it, teaching the domain expertise, and then building the applications. So that's what we have. Okay. All right. So this is how we evolved, the LLMs evolved. We had Eliza. Eliza is a simple chatbot, like a parrot, like whatever simply you give. So that was in 1967. And then we had RNN, LSTM. So these all people know, right? So RNN is recurrent neural network, and we had LSTM, long short term memory, like which could understand the lengthier sentences and the shorter sentences. And this 2017 is a very remarkable year for this generative AI. So because like Google invented transformers. So attention is all you need is the paper that was written by Google. So they are releasing the architecture of transformers. We'll understand what is a transformer. Transformer is nothing but, I'm connecting transformer with LLMs. Transformer is nothing but the brain of LLM. So that is the heart of LLM. But Google only invented, and later we had many LLMs like BERT, GPT, Robota, excellent. So we have some codes on that, like we'll see. So 2020 is another remarkable year, though Transformer was invented by Google, but OpenAI actually conquered that, like they added reinforcement learning concept and they released ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, that is GPT 3.5, they released that is a very, very large language model. So all these LLMs that you see here in 2019 and 2018, they are million-sized parameters model, which can be run in your Google Colab. That is a very happy news for us. Even now, like we use these BERT and Robota, and there are so many problems that can be addressed by these models as well. But these are billion-sized models which cannot be accommodated in our Colab at all. Okay, so we need extra GPU to run these models. So after that, after OpenAI is releasing, then we had Palm by Google. So we had Llama by Meta, and you all know the rest of the history. No, so this is how language model evolved. Okay, all right. So if you look at the model, so BERT is by Google. So that is, I told you, right? Like this a million, you see the size of the parameters. BERT is 110 million. Robota is by Meta. So these are the versions. You just look at those versions. We'll understand what are these. This base is I mean, the parameter number of parameters will vary. So that's the thing. So you will all find these models open source. So these are open source found in Hugging Face. So Llama, then you see all the billion values, right? Like you can't handle size on the disk. For the model itself, you have 418 MB, 500 MB, and this is 28 GB. Then you can't handle this in your Google Colab. So you will have to have a NVIDIA GPU, and the research should be funded to make use of all these LLMs. So like if you have a GPU machine, dedicated GPU machine in your institution, you can happily use these models like, yeah. Yeah. So as I said, like what is a language model? Like I gave you a very a basic definition, but this is how language model work. So language model is just, it is just the next word predictor or the next sequence predictor or next paragraph predictor. So, I mean, the students opened there. What did they open? Their books, laptop, exams, mind. So this is how. So you see this equation. So given x1 to xt, x1 is the, x2 is student, x3 is open, x4 is there, and what is the next word predicted? So it all started like this is how we define. Even if you look at the speech and language processing by Dan Jarofsky, the book, so the Bible of natural language processing. So this is how they would have, this is taken from them only. So this is how they would have defined the language model. Now, if you look at this and you correlate this with ChatGPT, so how do you correlate? So the students open there. So in this place, you place any prompt. The questions that you give in the ChatGPT is nothing but the prompt. So that prompt you give, and the single dash, earlier it was only used to predict the next words. Even if you look at, if you think of Google search, so this BERT is there, no? So BERT is being used by Google for this Google search engine. It used to predict the next word query, So it was only until ChatGPT was released, the large language models were capable of only predicting a few words or few sequences given a particular instruction or a particular input. So when you think of ChatGPT, you give a prompt, it just gives you a bigger paragraph. Not only paragraph, it is well logically correlated, and it is able to generate a code and much more. So, but when we talk of language model, they are only next sequence predictor. So that's how, even if you listen to the talks of OpenAI engineers, they will always address these language models as next sequence predictors. All right. So what is this? Like it's WhatsApp. So we see language models are inherent are very much inculcated in our life. So this is WhatsApp. This is Google. This is again large language model. Okay. Okay, so now we all, so as of now, I'm just connecting all the dots. Like we started with NLP, making computers understand human languages. And in NLP, we are having large language models. Large language models are domain experts plus language experts. And large language models, the brain of large language model is the transformer. And we are talking about, like, we'll just have a quick understanding of, like, what is this transformer, like what is inside this transformer, so that we should understand how this. I'm so sorry for the non-Tamil people. I'll just translate I mean, it is already there, like I am a student, it is a translation of the input is the translation of I am a student. So I'm really sorry for the people who don't know Tamil. Yeah, so I had to pick one language, so I picked up a language which I know, so that's the only reason. Yeah, so as of now, you can imagine. So why I'm teaching this is that, like, we should understand how these large language model understand languages. So that's very much essential. Why? Because languages are very intuitive thing and very brain connected. Even we need not think about large language models. We'll think about humans. How we humans understood languages, how we human I mean, learned a particular language. We all started with our own mother tongue, right? So how did we learn from the day when we were born? So the first day when we were born, like people were all talking around us, like, but we didn't have a clue or like what they're talking. But as days pass on, like we we get to know what they are speaking, and slowly we will a baby will utter a character or it will utter a single word, and then it will try to connect two words and make some phrases, and it'll understand a sentence. And after it goes to school, another language is taught. So that language is not on par with the mother tongue. Even till now, we are not able to, whenever we think about a particular situation in our brain, no? So we'll only be thinking, I mean, if we want to execute a task, like let's say we are thinking of like going for shopping tomorrow. So our brain should be thinking in a mother tongue only. So if you closely watch, so that because that's the language model that was first born. Of course, a second language was taught to us. Like even today, the first language model that we have, it is. I mean, the second language is not on par with that. So because like it is very larger, no? So it's a large language model. Maybe the second language that we were taught is a small language model. So that's how I visualize. Because like we ourselves have a language model in our brain. So the babies who are born to bilingual parents, like mom will be speaking Telugu and father will be speaking Tamil, then or Marathi or Hindi or whatever. So that child is actually very lucky to pick up three languages at a time, right? So it knows Tamil, it knows Telugu, it knows English from the school as well. So the brain capacity is very well connected with the language understanding. Now, having said that, like, why did I say is that, like, these large language models are like mimicking the same way that the humans are understanding. Of course, they might not beat us, but I think like they'll beat us someday. So that's how things are going, like with a chat GPT usage. But let's see, like at least for the creativity, we should have something with us. Okay, so now, as of now, we'll understand that, like because this transformer is the large language model brain. So as of now, we'll imagine that like the transformer is a black box. You give some input to the transformer, it will give some output. You want some sentence to be classified as positive, negative, it will do. You want to translate one sentence to another, it will do. Because it knows languages. When someone knows the language, I'm talking of human, when someone knows the language, they can translate to one language to another if they know both the languages, right? Like two languages, I'm talking about bilingual people. Or if someone knows a particular language, I can ask them to say whether the sentence is positive or negative, or I can give them some bunch of text and ask them to summarize. So when they know a particular language, they can do a number of tasks. So that is the well-known thing. So when these transformers, some input is given, some output can be expected. So that is what these transformers do. So as of now, we can think transformers are like a black box. We'll see what is there inside this black box. So these languages, this transformer has this architecture was only invented by Google. It has an encoder and a decoder. So what is an encoder? It takes Indian language, it takes a natural language input and it converts into a mathematical representation. So like how we interpret a word. So when we take a word inside, when we hear a word or when we see a word, so how do we interpret? We interpret in multiple dimensions, right? So for instance, like if I say a word like Amma is mother, so Amma, so there's so many things that is going to pop up in your mind when I utter a word. So if I say a word tour, there is so many things like that is going to pop up. It's not only the word meaning or opposite, it is also the events that are related to the word, like where and all you went for tour, like or childhood memories, or when you talk of mom, like the food that was prepared by her, like so many things, right? So that's how these encoders are taking whenever they get an input sentences, they are converting into multi-dimensional a mathematical representation. That is what they are doing. So, and decoder, what they do, so once they get these mathematical representation, that process is called encoding, or the process is called embedding. This mathematical representations are called embedding. So the decoder, what it does, so once it gets this mathematical representation, it will do the particular task. For instance, if it needs to, here it is doing the translation, right? The input is Nanoru Manavan, that, and the output is needs to be I am a student. So when an input is given, so this Nanoru Manavan is converted into a mathematical representation, a multidimensional representation, and then that representation is converted into a target language, and it is translated back to the natural language. So decoder always spits an output that is in natural language, but our output of encoder will be a mathematical representation. That's what I meant. And there is not only one encoder. Like I said, there are so many encoders, like multidimensional. No, so we are, for instance, non, the word non, that is I am, I. So the word I will be thought in us by birth, at least, like it is thought in 762 arrays. So I, you, the name of the person, or whatever it is, like there is a multidimensional thing that is going. The same for Oru. Oru is like I am a. So what are the words that are related to and what Manavan is student. So what are the words that are related to a student? So these we have 762 dimensional arrays, and these 762 dimensional 762 dimensional arrays are interacting with them, and they are communicating with them with each other, and they are spitting the output. So that is what is happening inside the. So what is how does an encoder work step by step? So this is how they do. So we have a text. So it tokenizes first. It breaks into word, and even a word, even a dot, even a hyphen, even a comma is taken as a token. It does not leave that also. A vector is created for even a comma, even a hyphen. Why? Because like they have some meaning, they have some information for us to understand. So they break into token, and I told you, right, like this is how the arrays are created. What you see here is the, one second, yeah. So for best, these are the numbers. So the machine learning, the whatever the models, these algorithms does not, cannot interpret anything in the form of strings, even in case of image processing. the images, the pics, they are represented in the mathematical form only. So all these machine learning models cannot handle strings or images as such. They have to break it down and they have to convert into numbers. This is how the embedding vectors, we call the encoders will convert them into embedding vectors. So when a sentence is given, best selling music articles, so this is how the embedding is created. Okay, so why do we need an embedding? Okay, so why do we have the undergo the headache of like converting the words into embeddings? Why? Because like once you convert them into numbers, then you can make numerical operations. Like you can even ask ChatGPT to spit a code for this. You take king embedding and you add it with a women embedding and you subtract with a man embedding, you will get a embedding of a queen. So this is the beauty of embedding. You can try. Okay, so this is the attention mechanism that is invented by Google. So that is why they named the paper for transformer is like attention is all you need. So why attention is all you need? You may think, you may just check this also. When you give a prompt to a chat GPT, you might notice that like not all the words in the chat GPT, I mean, not all the words that you gave in the prompt is given attention by the chat GPT. So only few of your queries in the prompt is given attention, and those you can check with the answer that is giving. So those queries are given very much importance and the answer is retrieved. So that's what like attention is all you need. It is simply nothing but what are the given a sentence, what are the words that I need to pay attention. Just tell me that. Like that is what this is doing. So this is nothing but a simple dot product thing. So for instance, like you can think like this. So these are the embeddings, okay? So embeddings are taken, okay? And embeddings, they are vectors, right? So you can take a dot product between two vectors. Yes, possible. So you're taking all the vectors. You're taking, for instance, walk vector and two vector, taking a dot product, and walk vector and the vector, taking the dot product, walk and bank, walk and walk and get, walk and cash. And similarly, two with walk, two with the, two with bank. So you're taking dot products with all the vectors. So all the words and vectors of all the words. So now you see certain vectors are gelling with each other. So that's why this walk and bank are color coded. So that means these two words are very important to us. Like these, the embeddings, that means the the words that are present in the walk embedding and the words that are present in the bank embedding are gelling well with each other. The dot product implies that only. So another visualization, you can think of like these vectors are something like jars. Okay, so you try to mix the content with each and every jar. Like the jars that are gelling well with each other, they are very important to us. So that means these jars are not very important. So they are not very gelling with each other. So that means like gelling in the sense like they don't have a much semantic context connect. Okay, so in the next step, like they will have the attention. So the process is shown here. So you have this will be good. Yeah. So you have a query token. So query token in the sense like you take one vector and you're trying to you have the rest of the words are key tokens. You try to multiply with the rest of the key tokens, and similarly you repeat the same for the other query token. So first on will be the query token, the rest are key tokens. The next round, the will be the query token and the rest will be the key tokens. All right. So once you do all these, right? So once you do all this, this is given as the FFN is like a feed forward network. All the mathematical calculations are tied together, and Y3, what you see here is a representation, mathematical representation of the input sentence that you are giving. So with this mathematical representation, we can do some task. So that's the, and positional embedding, yes. Positions are also well taken care by the transformer. So it is also a mathematical input that is given. I'll show you how. So I'm skipping this English Tamil example. Yeah. So AJ dog is cutie. AJ looks like a dog. So the position of the dog changes, the meaning changes. So when the dog is in the second position, it will have a different positional embedding. When the dog is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth position, it will have a different embedding. So that positional embedding is also added along with this existing embedding. So yeah, so this is what is the architecture that I would like to show. Like we had input embeddings, and we had query key tokens, and we multiplied with each other. So we gelled all the jars. We did the attention mechanism. What we get finally is the contextualized embedding. So these are the context. That means like when you give a prompt, we initially built their own embedding from the training data, and then finally we now know how these two, the rest of the words, I mean, the neighboring words in the prompt are well connected. So that is what is called as a contextual embeddings. Okay, so now we don't do this one time, it is multi-headed. So a word is not given attention one time in multiple times. So in BERT, it is given 12 times. So you see the 768 number, no? So that is the dimension length of the word embedding. So for instance, a word apple. Okay, so the apple in one attention, the apple embedding is created with a meaning of fruit. The next time it can be thought of an Mac apple. So there are a number of things a word can have. So that's why I said these LLMs are mimicking the human way of interpreting the language, and they are building mathematical interpretation. So if this looked very complicated for you to understand, for the people who are listening for the first time about these concepts, so don't worry about this. Just to have it a quick takeaway, like what will remain in your mind is that all these LLMs are nothing but they are converting the language and converting into a mathematical representation in a very complicated way and a well semantically connected way. So that once you do that, no, so once you have a very good knowledge, so this is how the language master is now built. So when you give a prompt, when you give a input sentence, so a language master is now built. Okay. After this language master, you can build some application on top of that. That is what is the goal. So basically, if you are able to understand this, I think that's okay. Yeah, so this is what you will see in the attention is all you need paper. Like I would strongly suggest you all to read that paper. It's a very well written paper, like though it is written by Google AI scientist, but it is a very, very simply written paper. So this is what we have seen. This is an encoder and this is a decoder. So what we saw, we give the input, we create initially embedding from the training data. So training data as in the sense like they use Wikipedia articles, they use some massive data sets, and they grab the embedding from there. Like for instance, if you have the word apple, where and all apple has connected, so it is from the training data. And then we give attention mechanism. That is what we had so many jars, right? Like, and we build the contextual embedding, and we are giving that as an input to the decoder. What decoder will do is that it will take that representation. Decoder is only needed for, I repeat this, just this is very important, just grab this. Encoder based, there are LLMs which has only encoder based. So encoder based only LLMs are can only do a predictive task like sentiment analysis. You do positive, negative, or you want to classify these kind of predictive task, it can do. But if you want a generative task, you want to translate from one sentence to another, you want to summarize certain things, you want a natural language output. Because like when you're doing a predictive task like classification, it is only a one word a decision, no? Either it is positive, negative. So there is no generative task. So when you want translation or summarization or question answering, you want a chatbot, then you will go for a decoder and an encoder based architecture. Otherwise, only encoder based LLMs are sufficient. So that's why it is called as, now I'm connecting with another dot. That's why we call it as a generative AI. What is generative AI? With the help of a decoder and an encoder, it is able to generate something for you for your query. It is able to generate an image. It is able to generate a code for you. It is able to generate a answer for you. It is able to logically think and do something for you. So that is the capacity of this decoder. So if you think this encoder is a language master, and it can build a mathematical representation for you, and this decoder will generate back into a natural language based on the natural mathematical representation. So that's the story of the transformer architecture. So this is the foundation we need to understand. Okay. Now, I'm just going back to the place where we started. Okay, all these transformers are there. Like, what is there for us? You can take the transformer and you can add a fine-tuning layer and you can make it for your own work. So one simple example I will tell you, maybe you can correct. Like one of my PhD students, like she fine-tuned the BERT model. I think Robota model. Robota is by Facebook. That is Meta AI. Like she took Robota, and Robota does not understand idioms and phrases. It cannot classify whether a sentence is an idiom or a phrase. For instance, old man kicked the bucket. So even if you give this translation, this input to translate in Google, it will literally translate. So why? Because like it is not that like Google is not able to translate this old man kicked the bucket as old man died, because like to differentiate whether a sentence is a literal meaning, whether the old man actually kicked the bucket or old man actually passed away. So differentiating that is a problem actually. So what she did was like she gave a few sentences which are literal meaning and idioms meaning idioms, and she classified that, like given a sentence, the model will classify it as a I'm sorry, literal or an idiom class. So you can, so she created data set and she fine tuned it. So likewise, n number of problems you can identify and you can fine tune. One more example also I will give you. For Tamil, we did this, like we created a data set of like 9,000 sentences for LGBTQ community. So hope everyone knows about that community. And we wanted to understand how Tamil society is aware about this community. We took tweets about this community, scraped the tweet, and we labeled the tweets as offensive and non-offensive. We wanted to understand like how many offensive comments are there and how many non-offensive comments. The trick is that, like the complexity is that most of the Twitter based comments will be code mixed. That means like code mix is something like we normally express, most of the Indians express, we mix Tamil and English. The English also the same. Hindi plus English is also the same. We type, like for instance, like I don't know any other language, so I'm talking this. So padam supera irukku. So that means the film is really good. So padam is Tamil. So super is English. But the when you look from the technology side, so the system gets confused, right? Like you are speaking one language and mixing some language. So, but luckily, all these LLMs knows more than 100 languages. So that's the good news. So we'll see the codes also. So they know English, they know Tamil, they know Hindi. So I mix each language. So all the tweets were code mixed. It were in Tamil, and one part is addressing the code mixing, and another part is like addressing whether the comment is an offensive or a non-offensive comment. So we attacked two problems and we did this research. So you might find a number of such research problems and you can fine tune the LLM model. So that's what I wanted to tell you. Yeah, so these are the encoder based BERT. For instance, BERT by Google, it has only encoder. That means you can only use BERT for predictive task. You cannot use for generative task. Robota is by Meta. It is also having only encoder. That means it can only make mathematical representation and you can only do predictive. So GPT-3 is a decoder. You can, of course, we all know GPT-3, ChatGPT is running on that. T5 is by Google. It is an encoder and a decoder based. BART is by Meta. It is encoder and decoder. So normally when we go for machine translation, we use BART and T5. So that's what I had to say. Like Indian languages, so these are the blessings that we have. BERT, MBERT, multilingual BERT that knows 104 languages. Muril that is exclusively done for 17 Indian languages. Multilingual representation for Indian languages. These are all open source. You don't need to do anything. You just need to get the code, ask the ChatGPT for the code. It will give. And I think IndicBERT by IITians is also an open source. Robota by the Robota is the XLM Robota. I'm sorry, I have missed this in the slide. XLM, that is multilingual Robota. Okay, so now I'll show you some codes so that you'll get the feel of like how these large language model works. I think I've passed on the codes also. Yeah, so I want to show you this. 1 second. Yeah, so when you look at this, so these are the sentence vectors. So I wanted to show you like how these embeddings are actually created and how they look like. So we were talking theoretically. So pip install simple transformer, that's a library. So I passed on these codes. All you have to do, I think most of the codes are debugged, 99% accuracy I can give you. All you need to do is you need to play this button and you can run. So data sets also I've given, and I'll show you how to upload a data set when that code comes. You see, yeah, so after installing this, so I've given an example sentence. Yeah, you see here, no? So set your targets high. Dedication and discipline is a talent in itself. These are the two sentences. So we'll see like how the BERT creates an embedding for that. So this is how it creates. You see, right? So each and every word will have 768 vectors. So you can, you just go to file and save a copy in Drive. You cannot edit this code. I've given only view permission, but when you create a copy, it will create a copy like this. I'm sorry, like most of the people know this. I'm just recalling. So you can, now you get a copy like this, you can now edit this code. Okay, so I just gave a talk in Kerala once, like I just gave a Malayalam word. So I don't know what does this mean. So you can type in Indian languages using this Google Transliteration. I use this. If you have a better methodology, you can make use of it. So for instance, I'll choose Tamil because I know only that, like Telugu, whatever language you want to do. So for instance, I am typing Amma, that is mom. So I just do it using, I'll just repeat it once again. I press A-M-M-A. It is Amma. So this is how you can give Indian languages input sentence. This is how these number representation. Each number is nothing but a word. So for instance, the word Amma means like whatever words that are related to that particular word, those words are represented here. So that's what this code is about. We'll move on to the next code. I'm not running the code. Why? Because like to save time. So nothing else. So if you want to, if we run the code, like it will take a longer time and we cannot cover more codes. So that's the intention. Otherwise, I would have done. So AI for Bharat is a very good website. So you all can see AI for 1234 Bharat. So there are so many things that is you can find here. IndicGlue is a benchmark data set. IndicBERT. So what I like the most here is that than IndicBERT, I feel MBERT is giving the accuracy. But for translation, this AI for Bharat, Indic Trans 2, that model is the best. For translation, they have done a great job. You can make use of that. So should I text this in the, let me see. I don't know how, where's the message bar. So I don't want to waste time. Okay. So you just make a note of it. Indic AI for Bharat. Okay. So let's see like how the AI for Bharat transliteration. This is a library, pip install library. People who are, I'm very sure like everybody should be very good at Python. So Python is all about libraries. So we are installing this AI for Bharat transliteration because we need to do transliteration as a pre-processing step whenever we are dealing with Indian languages. So that's the crux. From AI Bharat, like importing Excellent engine. So transliteration is something like we are transliterating in the English. We are writing Indian languages in English. Any languages in any language. So that's what we mean. Amma is written as AMMA, no? So that is transliteration. So we are writing as super, and what is the so this is as super. So to address the code mixing thing, we might need this engine. So that is super. This is Tamil super. It's the same. We have not translated. We have transliterated. So that's what. So all these are done by this LLMs only. So for instance, trailer naladan irukku sound kekla. That means like trailer is good, but the sound is not audible. So it is transliterating as like this. Okay. So that's what it is say. It can you can very well do it for your own language as well. Like see to that like you're changing the language code. Language code for Hindi is HI. I think for Telugu TE, Malayalam is ML. So you can change and you can do this, edit this code. That's what this is transliteration. So we have seen how the embeddings will look like, and we have seen like how the transliteration works for Indian languages. So sorry. Okay. So text similarity. We are seeing like this program, this code is about finding the text similarity. We'll see like how text similarity is can be done. So any code that you see for related to this LLM, you will vectorize. What is vectorization? Vectorization is nothing but converting the word into mathematical representation. The same terminology, the embedding and vectorization are the same. Like we are just creating the embedding. So we have 3 sentences. Okay. We are going to find the similarity, semantic similarity. They all mean one and the same. Trailer லேட்டா பார்த்தவங்க லைக் போடுங்க. What do you the I've given it in English. So if you have seen the trailer late, please like it. Okay. So I've just translated this R should not have come, but I wanted to introduce that because like that's how people comment on social media, right? So we wanted to understand like how semantically similar they are. So what are vectors? Vectors, when we create a vector for trailer லேட்டா பார்த்தவங்க லைக் போடுங்க, it will be a mathematical representation, right? And when we create a, if you have seen the trailer later, please like it. That is another vector. That is another mathematical representation. Similarly, for the same thing, but written in Tamil. So that is another vectors. So the beauty of this is that like these models know multiple languages. We are using this model. You look at this digital BERT based multilingual case. So this is a multilingual model, BERT model multilingual version. These model will know 104 languages. So there is a high possibility that the mathematical representation of trailer லேட்டா பார்த்தவங்க லைக் போடுங்க will have so many words in common with the representation of if you have seen the trailer later, please like it. That's what I'm trying to tell. So when you take these 3 vectors and you find the similarity, how do you find the similarity? Cosine similarity, no? So that's the, because they are math, so we use mathematical formula. And now if you find the cosine similarity, these vectors should be very closer to each other. Mathematically, if you visualize in the Euclidean space, all these words should be closer to each other. That's what we are actually looking at. So see, like we are finding the cosine similarity, spatial distance only. So we are so taking the zeroth, the first, this is 0, trailer later பார்த்தவங்க is 0, and this is 1 and this is 2. So this one finds the distance between trailer later பார்த்தவங்க and this Tamil and so on. So this is between this and this. So I have tried to find the combo of all the distances. If you look at this, these are the distance that is seen. So if you look at it, so the distance, um, if you see the distance between which is very high. So what is distance 1? The distance 1 is between 0 and 2. What is 0 and 2? This transliterated version and the English transliterated version and the Tamil transliterated version. So the distance is very high. Why? Because like still it feels that like these are not very closer. So all these distances should actually be the same, but unfortunately that is not the case. So that means there is still a disparity between in these model in understanding the when the languages are written in English and Tamil, and when it is this is called code mixed sentences, no? So it is still suffering from understanding the code mixed part. So when something is not right in these models, so we should feel very happy because like we researchers can jump in and solve this problem and we can churn out a research for us. So that's the thing. So that's the thing. That's why I wanted to show you this. Like, so here we are understanding the semantic similarity between two sentences that are code mixed. So that's what I wanted to show you. Okay. All right. So this is, let me see. Yeah, this is a mask model. So as I said, like this is our, these are language model, no? So mask is nothing but they can predict a word. So what you see in Google is like they are predicting the last word, no? So here this can also be used for that purpose. But yeah, I mean, technically they can predict any word in between the sentences. In fact, that's how they train themselves. So all these large language models are not they don't train by supervised learning. They do it in a very special way. They train themselves in a special way. Given a corpus, these LLMs train them in a very special way, like this masking only. So for instance, a LLM is given with Wikipedia article, like I'm talking about training, when we are building a language master, that phase I'm talking about. And we're building a language master either for English or for Tamil or for Hindi or whatever. So during that phase, how do they train? How do they become as a language master? So this is how they become. For instance, if they are given 100 sentences, they mask 50% of the words. That means like, let's talk about like 100 sentences means like roughly there are 500 words in this 500 sentences. So then 250 sentences are 250 words are masked. So randomly they are masked, and this LLM will try to predict the masked word. Initially, it will predict wrongly, and it will have a loss function, and then it will correct itself. It will predict correctly, and then retrain itself again and again and again, and it will get better, better, and better. So that's how even we human train ourselves during examinations. No, when we were in school, at least most of the people, like when we are preparing to answer, like we mask the answer and we try to predict. If we are what we are actually doing when we are masking and predicting, that means like, are we able to grammatically confidently able to fill the that mask? So that means like, for instance, I dash singing yesterday. That means I dash singing yesterday. So definitely this dash will not have will, correct? So it will definitely have the word was. I was singing yesterday, right? So, or it cannot have I am singing yesterday. No. So then it is grammatically wrong. So maybe in the first attempt, it will predict will. The next attempt, it will predict I am. And next attempt, it will correct itself and predict was. This is how they train themselves. So this is given as an application here. Hello, I am a mask model. So what it is predicting here is the task. So here you can see that it is predicting Top is the first word given as the first rank. I'm a top model. I'm a fashion model. I'm a good model. So top thing, I mean, the first category is like top. So hello, I'm a top model. So it could have been better, but with the knowledge that this language model has, this is what it is able to predict. Okay. So I tried the same for Tamil. So you can actually give some other language. And the beauty here, when you use these kind of models like bird base, you don't even need to specify your language code. So that was only with the transliteration model. There are low-end models. They work only with the, they are low-end models. You need to specify the language code. Here you don't need to. So bird knows like that you are dealing with Tamil by its own. So you can replace this with your own mother tongue. So தமிழ் உணர்வுடன் கலந்து வரலாறு, that means like I mean Tamil will actually create an history. Okay, so that's what roughly translation. It's not a right translation, but I'm just trying to roughly translate. So this mask, what it has actually predicted, it has not actually predicted correctly. So this is Tamil. I mean, the dot above the ragaram is missing actually. So at least one word is correct. Ulaga is correct, but that is not ranked correctly. So, but these models are like struggling still, but that's okay. We can set that right if we want to take that as a research problem. So this is Roberta. I'm trying to showcase so many models, like whatever models we have seen so far, but multilingual but, and we saw a transliteration engine from AI Bharat. And but again, we saw a base but how it creates a vector. So that's what we have seen so far. Yeah. This is Roberta. This is the zero shot model. You all know what is a zero shot mechanism, no? I mean, it can predict instances which has not seen at least even once. So XLM Roberta, large XNLI. So there are so many versions of Roberta, but if you wanted to process Indian languages, then this version of Roberta needs to be used. Okay, so Roberta base, Roberta small, those know only English. XLM Roberta is the one that is multilingual. The same with the base, a BERT base knows only English. MBERT means like it knows multilingual. That is mainly for Indian languages. So I don't know Hindi, but I just typed this with one of my students. Like I think Stanford Vidyalay Dunia mein sabse acha hai. Like I'm sorry if my pronunciations are wrong. We try to classify this, like we gave two labels: sports, education. It will classify. So for education, it has given higher score, and for sports category, it has given lower score. So it can be used as a classifier, because like Roberta is primarily has only encoder. It cannot do a generation part. So people who want to use another languages, they can actually do it. So I tried with Tamil as well. So it works. All right. So we have seen text classification as well. I'll just sum it up before we move on to the next chunk of this is abstractive summarization. So we are using, so summarization is a generative task. So pipeline is summarization. Yeah, so we are giving a text here and we are trying to summarize. So what is the model being used? It is T5. So as I told earlier, T5 is by Google. T5 base is being used. This model does not know English, I'm sorry, Tamil or Indian languages. If you want to do for Indian languages, you need to use MT5. So, this model is summarizing here. So this is the input text, and this is the summary that is created. So why it is abstractive? Abstractive is nothing but the summary. There are two types of summaries that you can create: abstractive and extractive. Extractive means like if you have 100 sentences and you wanted to create a 10-line summary, extractive just picks up the important sentences from the 100 sentences. It just puts together and does not rephrase it. But abstractive summarization, it takes the 10 sentences and it will rephrase them. So if it for instance, like if 2 sentences are having nouns, a proper noun, I mean a person name, so it will connect these 2 sentences with the pronoun like he or she. So, or it will add connectives like and, but. So it will rephrase and it will connect the sentences coherently. So that capacity is there with the LLMs. So that's what this abstract summarization means. All right. So to before we move on to the next chunk of session, like I want to just summarize whatever codes that I showed you. So we saw codes on like embeddings, how numerical representation for a single for a natural language sentence will be shown. So that's what this maybe I can show you the codes. It's all open here. So sorry, this all. Yeah, so we saw about the embeddings, how the mathematical representation was created. And yeah, so this is a copy. So we saw how a transliteration engine can be used from AI Bharat. So to process code mixed sentences. So we also saw like how to calculate the similarity between these sentences. Similarity is by like taking the mathematical representation and finding the cosine similarity. That's what we saw. And this is like how a mask modeling works with a large language model. And this is for this in mask modeling, we used digital BERT, and in text similarity, we used BERT, I think so. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, this is digital BERT, I'm sorry. Yeah. So this one is multilingual BERT. And here we use the multilingual Robota for text classification. So you can predict, you can classify, you can find the text similarity, and you can also create an abstract summarization. So this is what we have seen in this session. So to quickly summarize what we have seen so far is that, so we know what is a natural language processing. So we now know what is a large language model, a language expert plus a domain expert. And then we talked about transformer, which is the brain of LLMs. So inside transformer, we had encoders and decoders. We understood like how encoders understand the natural language and how it creates a representation. And we saw some encoder decoder based language model for applications using these codes. That's what. So I have many things to say, but I'll just go until how far we can go. I'll just cover. Yeah. So a life cycle of an LLM. Okay. So you have LLM and you can do some task on top of that. And now we are talking about the generative AI. Okay. So so far also like those are also generative AI only. So you specify the task like, okay, so now you understood what is that, like you want to do something out of that, like what you do. So you specify the task, what you wanted to do, what is that task, what you wanted, either you want to do a machine translation, either you want to do a classification, either you want to build a chatbot, what you wanted to do. And then you select the particular model, adapt the model, fine tune the model, and then evaluate it, and then build the application. This is what you do. Okay. So, so fine tuning is nothing but like you take the base model, you add some, for instance, like you have a base model that knows like about joint pain, skin rash, sun sensitivity. But how about allergy? It is not able to show. You add allergy data. Now it can answer about allergy data. As simple as that. So that's what fine tuning means. When to fine tune, I think we already saw this, like when to fine tune, when not to fine tune. If you understand, you'll understand, like you'll know when to fine tune. So when not to fine tune, when the LLM is already knowing that particular domain, you don't need to break your head and fine tune it. So for instance, like for sentiment, you're asking this LLM to classify the sentiment. It is able to do the sentiment analysis clear. Then you don't need to fine tune. So if it is not able to classify it, or if it is not able to translate whatever task it is not able to, then you need to go for fine tuning. So that's what needs to be interpreted. So this we already saw. I don't want to go into this. Like this is how the model becomes the difference between fine tuning and with not fine tuning. Why is the sky blue? So because it answers in a very subtle way, superficial way, because of the way the atmosphere scatters sunlight. This is the base model. But if you fine tune, no, so it is a very talkative and it is giving more knowledge to you. So this is very limited knowledge. Sometimes you want the chatbot to give more information about it, like it can be fine tuned. So you can also see ChatGPT, like sometimes it gives very, very simple details, like it says that like I do not know. So that maybe that is not very good in that particular domain. Okay. So task, there are so many tasks that we are talking. So I wanted to just quickly go through what is a task. So text classification, that means this is why I am showing you this is that, like we all know what is a text classification, but how the input training document should be, that's what I'm showing. So what you see is you forget about the task, you just have the text and the corresponding label. This is how you build a training document, a training data set to fine tune it. If you wanted to, this is how we did for that idiom and phrases and for a non-offensive and offensive, all the text and its label. So yeah, text generation. So for creative writing, there are so many use cases I've given because text generation means like summarization, report generation, all are text generation. For instance, if you want a creative writing, so prompt you give, write a short poem about the moon and ocean, you give the output. So similarly, you give so many prompts about creative writing, so many output regarding the prompt, and you fine tune the LLM, then it is now ready to write a creative writing. So it becomes a task. Similarly, for code generation, if you want to write a code, if you want to train your LLM to master in Python, I think most of the LLMs are very good in Python, or for some language it does not know, you give the instruction as prompt and output whatever code it should be, it will train itself accordingly. So I think for the shorter codes, like one model I would suggest is that the code T5. Code T5 for researchers like us, like who don't have ample computational facility, we can go for these models. Code T5 can be run in Colab. So these models, so this is how you frame the data set. So that's what I mean to say. Information extraction. Let's say like you have a document, you wanted to extract some information from that. So for instance, named entity recognition is one task in natural language processing. Named entities are nothing but like the person name, the currency name, the date. These are nouns, but they will not be in any knowledge. So they will extract, these are pre-processing step that occurs before any application. So John Doe was born on January 1, 1990 in New York City. So the output is entities. John Doe is a person. January 1, 1990 is a date. New York City is a location. So why? Because like sometimes Washington can be a location. Washington can be a person. So that's why we have named entity recognition as a task. And in our days, like in 2010, 9 and all, like people were doing named entity recognition PhDs. So I think now it is full. So maybe you can have a application oriented a thought process for name entity recognition. Machine translation, it's straightforward. So how do you prepare a data set? Like one language, output is in another language. So you give it, you fine tune it. We call it as a parallel data set. That's a question answering is a very, very good application that I would suggest. Why? Because like question answering, you can directly connect that to an information extraction. For instance, one experience I would share is that we were asked to extract and I'm sorry, summarize the doctor and the patient conversation. So doctor is there, patient is there. They ask what patient is suffering, ask many questions, patient answers, and then he writes the prescription. So instead of this, when this conversation is actually converted into text, speech to text system, and then we can have a question answering system running on top of that. Right? What was the suffering? So what was the disease? So you can, if in the text, it would have been stomachache or fever. So it can be fever. So what was the medicines prescribed by the doctor? So it can extract. Question answering is nothing but like you ask a question and you're extracting the information from the document. So this is one example that I'm talking about. Like similarly, you can build chatbot also the same way. So that is what. So you will have to prepare the data set accordingly. So conversational AI is like chatbot, like another way of like looking at the question answering. Like this is continuous conversational. Like AI is something like we call it as chain of thoughts. So you ask a question to the chat GPT, it remembers the entire sequence. So that's what is conversational. Text code. Text code is a very fantastic application that you can think of. You can check also ChatGPT because like most of the codes that I am showing is like taken from the ChatGPT. Multimodal. Yeah, multimodal has a very vast research niche. Why? Because like multimodal is something like you have an image, you have a video in which the text is embedded. So you are trying to process both the images, both the videos and the text together. That is multimodal. Medical image processing, or I've even heard of like memes detection, troll detection and memes. So I recently had the opportunity to review one paper like troll detection. So whether that meme is a general fun meme or it is a troll, it is hurting someone. So those kind of researches are going on. Like it's a very a vast area. Like one can actually find a research problem very quickly. So yeah, so these are the tasks. So you fix the legal domain document analysis. Yeah, you fix the domain also. One perspective is a task. What you wanted to do. You wanted to do a summarization. You wanted to do a classification. That is one part of the game. And the another part of the game is like what for whom you wanted to build. Do you want to build for legal people, or do you want to do for healthcare people or financial banking people or educational people? So that's a task domain. So these two should be, and then you pick up the LLM and then create the data set, build the application. So that's the story. So I'm not going into all this, like due to time constraint. I'll just wind up with this code. I'll just show you how. So a simple fine tuning code. This is a very toy based code. Like so bird based uncased I've used in this model. Wherever I've used these small language models, you can use very large language models like Llama or Mistral. The same holds good. Only thing is that you need to have a good GPU. So here in Google Colab, change run type, you might need to select for T4 GPU. For a while, it will be silent, allowing you to run the code. And before that, like you'll ask for payment. If you have a funded research, then you can purchase additional computing units and run the model. So whatever models that I am showing, they are okay running on CPU itself to an extent. But if you are going to fine tune the large amount of data, then they may also require some GPU. So I have this BERT model. So I'm just giving a toy data set of 2 sentences and I'm going to fine tune. So in all the model, what you will see, I'll just explain you this code so that you will you can fine tune on your own. So you will import all the libraries, data set, this tokenize. This is how we studied the transformers, right? Like we give a sentence, they tokenize. BERT is a tokenizer. And then we load the model, we load the training data set, and we get the training text and we encode the training text and we train the model and these are the parameters. You will normally, you can play around this. I wantedly given this comment just to make you understand. Learning rate, batch size, number of epochs, warm-up steps, weight, decay, and so you can change these number of epochs and batch size. Batch size is the number of inputs that is given at a time to train. So if your program is crashing, sometimes you'll feel, even when I was using, like most of the session were crashing, I reduced the batch size. So then on optimizer for handling loss function, and then your model will get trained and your model will saved. Model will be saved. So finally, after the model is saved, I'm asking this model to predict whether it is a positive or a negative. So it is predicting the label as positive or negative. So I think it's predicting wrongly. Why? Because the training data set was given only 2 sentences. It needs more fine tuning. So uh, for the day, if you have a data set, this is how you upload in Colab. So you can upload here and you can have it, or you can mount this Google Drive and you can upload the Google Drive. So I'm stopping here and allowing some time for, I have many things to say, but due to time constraint, I'll just summarize. So we have seen LLM, how they work, how to fine tune, and some applications using LLMs. So there are so many things left, but I'm just stopping here. Like if there's any question, I'm happy to answer.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can interact with the ma'am now.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
It was
Good
a
evening,
very excellent session
Oh,
and
thank you
very
so much, ma'am.
informative.
Thank you.
Ma'am, my question is so many research problem may come under this domain. So can you suggest hallucination is one of the problem
Hmm.
raised by LLM. So how it will be mitigate?
Yes,
Remove
ma'am.
this.
Yes, ma'am. Like you can only solve one problem at a time. Let's say like you want to stop the hallucination for your own data set. That's what you can do. So you don't expect it to remove the hallucination completely. Let's say you are creating a healthcare data set. You want to create a healthcare chatbot. So create a healthcare chatbot data set and fine tune the LLMs, and then you can stop the hallucination for that domain only. So that is advisable. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it cannot be completely removed, but make it generalized. It only
No,
work
you
for
can
one
do it.
specific.
That
Yeah.
you can do it, but you need to have a large computational resources, and you won't find, a perfection or satisfaction. So to find an immediate anyway, you are going to have our target is to build an application, right, ma'am? So with an increased accuracy without hallucination. So we can only be satisfied for a particular domain.
Okay.
That is
Thank you,
my
ma'am. And
perspective.
yeah, and one more question, ma'am. I
Yes,
want
ma'am.
to integrate knowledge base with the LLM. How it is possible?
Yes, ma'am, it is possible. I've heard people use conceptual graphs
Yeah.
to train the LLMs. So I have not personally done it, but that is possible.
Okay. And
Conceptual
so,
graphs, yeah.
so in which situation, which situation it will be in use? Any
Um,
use case you have? Any problem?
No, I have seen people representing this text into knowledge graph or training the LLMs in when there is a logical operations. So like you have many numerical inputs and you wanted to do a mathematical and you want to connect many relationship between the inputs. And so in those cases, like knowledge graphs, I have seen people using.
Okay. So it may use for enhancing the LLM capability.
It depends on
Right?
the use case that you are
Yeah,
working with.
because I also read one paper,
Mm,
Neurosymbolic AI,
mm.
where this kind of means symbolic AI is integrated, like knowledge base is if integrated with the LLM, so indirectly we can solve many of the problem. Like if for accuracy and all,
Correct,
we can.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. You might, in the where we are creating that vectorization, right, ma'am? So maybe like you can play around with vectorization. I do not know completely, but I'm just guessing that that should be the way to be done. Vectorization is a representation. Maybe there you can integrate knowledge graph representation also and make it richer and integrate with the application.
Okay, because one limitation of the LLM or neural network is data set. But if
Correct.
we have a less data set, then instead of depend on only neural network kind of LLM, we can also incorporate the AI,
Mm.
classical AI, symbolic AI, knowledge base that will
Mm.
also parallelly work and give the more accurate result.
Yeah, so I'm hoping so. I have not personally worked, so I cannot give you assurance, but you can try, ma'am. Like, but I've
Okay.
seen also people doing that, so you can attempt that.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. Please
Means
also
a lot.
mention your phone number and email.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
future,
sure,
if
sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Babita Verma, and
Hello,
I
ma'am.
have a query, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
as for LLM, we use the large language model word. Then can we use SLM, short language model, for short data set?
Yes, ma'am. That's what, like, those million parameter models that I was speaking, they are actually now called as short language model, small language model.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, ma'am. So they were actually called as large language model in 2000, before 2020. Now, after Llama and all came, now they are called as small language model.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your very nice session.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I extend my sincere gratitude to Dr. Subalalita ma'am, Founder Director of First Language Technologies, Associate Professor at SRM, for her enlightening session on exploring NLP and generative AI advancements in large language models. Her explanation of large language model was exceptionally insightful, and her comparisons of various models such as Llama, GPT-3, and Gemini were both engaging and informative. Additionally, her detailed explanation of the working procedure of LLM along with their mathematical implementations was presented in a clear and comprehensive manner. Mainly, the hands-on implementation session on text classifications using LLM transformers and encoder-decoder based on language models was highly insightful and very practical. The demonstration comparing the base model and fine-tuned model was exceptionally clear and highly informative. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sharing your expertise and making this session truly enriching one. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the opportunity, and thank you, audience, for being an excellent audience. So people can contact me through LinkedIn. I'm very much available in LinkedIn. You can search my name and you can get connected. Yeah, I'll be happy to help. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Munir
ma'am.
Ali, sir,
Thank
do you
you.
have any doubt?
Thank
Munir
you,
Ali,
ma'am.
sir, raised
Okay.
a hand. Okay, if you are not having any query, you can leave the team now. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
So may I leave, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.